Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is not about my old Charvette here. Today's video is actually about treble bleed circuits and why you might want to install one. So let's talk a little bit about why treble bleed circuits are interesting and why they're a must on guitars where you don't always play with the volume at the maximum level. When you play with a guitar with the volume all the way up and the tone especially all the way up, you'll hear, a nice amount of treble in each of the notes. Of course, all that's dependent upon amp settings and everything else, I know, but let's just talk about this setup here today. In some guitars, if you dial back the volume to some amount, you will lose a little bit of that treble. Let me just show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully that comes through on the video, but you just lose some of that top end, that very bell-like tone of some of that treble coming through on those higher strings especially. So how do you battle against that? It actually sounds almost exactly like you were on 10 and turned the tone down. This can be different levels of effects on different guitars, especially if you got humbucker versus single coils, or if you've just got just any different range of pickups in the guitar. Plus, it may vary based on the tone cap you have installed or whatever your preferences are. But you really can't deny the fact that when you turn that volume knob down, you're getting some resistance in the circuit that's cutting out some of the highs. So let's talk about the type of circuit that you would install to battle against that effect. Now there are many different styles of treble bleed circuits, but these are two very similar ones. They look very different, but they're actually the same values that I've used in several of my guitars. So in some of my vintage guitars I'll go with older style capacitors and resistors, and in my newer guitars I'll go with something that I've just built out of brand new parts. What we have here is a capacitor and a resistor in parallel. There are some that introduce the capacitor and the resistor in series. There are some that introduce the capacitor and the resistor in series and another resistor in parallel with the cap, so both actually. So when it comes to the values that you use for your capacitor and your resistor or resistors, that's really up to you, and I'll try to show you a table that shows you many different options. But I'll just tell you, the options that I've chosen and that I just use consistently because they work with both humbuckers and single coils are a 2 nanofarad or 2.2 nanofarad capacitor and a 100K resistor. Now, you can use multiple different types of capacitors. As you can see here, I've got a dip style capacitor in this circuit, and I've got a ceramic disc style capacitor in that circuit. It really doesn't matter all that much. If you can hear a difference to your ear, then fine, but I honestly don't. And you don't need a very large resistor. This one, for example, just has a 1/4 watt resistor, and I believe this one is a 1/2, but there's not much voltage going through a guitar, and they don't need to be rated for very high wattage. So I just want to show you where you're going to install one of these if you choose to use one. So on every volume pot in every guitar, they have 3 lugs, and one side goes to the pickups, one side goes to ground, and the middle lug, which is the wiper, goes to the jack. Basically, where you need to install this treble bleed circuit is across the lugs that go between the pickup and the jack. Okay, so skipping the step of installation, I'll just show you what they look like when they're actually installed. So again, you've got one leg of that circuit attached to the signal wire from the pickup or the switch, which is attached to the pickup, and the other leg attached to the jack lug, so the center lug. And when you install these, you want to just make sure that they're not grounding out on this pot here, because that will negate the whole thing. If it's installed correctly, it should be floating above the pot just a little bit. I use some insulator on my legs of my circuit so they don't touch the walls of the pot when they're riding a little bit far away from the lugs. Basically heat up your solder joints, you can stick those legs right through, and you really don't even have to undo any other wiring. Okay, so what did we just do? Well, now what you'll notice when I turn the volume down on this pot is that we're not going to lose nearly as much treble as we lost before. So you'll notice through the range of the volumes that it actually retains that really top end chime, and so that's what's really important to this. You can play your guitar now at lower volumes, say if you need to practice in your bedroom or something, and not lose any of that natural tone from the pickup. It's actually really a cool mod. Now if you play at volume 10 all the time, you know, it's not going to matter to you. If you have this thing all the way up and you never move it, well, treble bleed does nothing for you. But if you need to use your volume pot, this is kind of a big cool secret. So these things are cool, and you know, wish you guys the best of luck with them. Alright, well thanks a lot guys. I hope you enjoyed my video today. If you like my stuff, be sure to hit that like button and leave me a comment if you have something you want to tell me or if you have a question. And I really appreciate when you guys hit that subscribe button. That really helps me out quite a bit. So I'll see you guys next time. Catch you later.